Good morning, all. Today, we celebrate the inquisitive minds that question the norms of our times, challenge conventions, and boldly push boundaries to discover new possibilities. To truly change the present, let's embody the essence of this moment. Hello, everyone. I am Avni, and I extend a warm welcome to all our wonderful innovators to this elimination round of TUP 9.0. Get ready with your ideas for a fierce battle of brains because the winners of today will move forward to our regional finale of the most prestigious B School competition in the country, the Ultimate Pitch Season 9. So let's get started. At Reliance, we are all about embracing fresh ideas and fostering innovation. It's in our DNA, which is subsequently reflected in each of our businesses and social initiatives. The Ultimate Pitch was born out of this exact spirit. It is the platform for curious and innovative minds who want to break away and showcase their next big idea to the world. This is TUP's ninth season, and let me tell you, it has been a journey like none other. We flagged off the competition physically in the top 15 B schools across the country. At each of these institutes, we were met with enthralling audiences. The insightful sessions, led by our inspiring leaders, were overtly captivating. But that was only the beginning. We then reached thousands of you through digital platforms and virtual events, making this contest a pan India celebration of ideas and innovation. Now, with absolute delight, I want to show you all a sneak peek into our campus launches and launch premiere with this video. What a mesmerizing response TUP has had this year. Over 19,000 registrations, more than 1,500 idea submissions, and we now move into the elimination rounds. We thank you all for making it such a memorable launch. TUP Season 9 kicked off with a bang. Enthusiastic innovators from all over the country registered to battle for the grand prize. Each one of the ideas submitted was unique, ambitious, and had a genuine intent for solving critical real world problems. Our evaluators worked round the clock to make sure that none of the submissions went unnoticed and shortlisted those ideas that had an extra edge over the others. Those exceptional teams with remarkable ideas have qualified for the elimination round of this one of a kind competition. A big congratulations to the top 90 team who have made it to the elimination rounds. Kudos to you all. Let's now do a quick rundown of what's expected to happen. I shall be calling out the team names and we will play their 3-minute video on screen. Then the teams will get 3 minutes to pitch their idea to the jury. Teams, do keep an eye on the timer. This will be followed by a quick 4 minutes Q&A. Post each team's presentation, we will have the jury take a minute to score the teams individually before we move to the next team. You will be judged on 5 parameters. Your idea should be futuristic, practical, scalable, should challenge conventional wisdom, and should have a strong business case. Now, for the victors, the national winners get a grand cash prize. We are pleased to inform you that we have other rewards too. Elimination round winners and runners up receive 50,000 and 25,000 respectively, along with TUP merchandise. National finalists get mentored by CXOs, entrepreneurs of Reliance owned startups, and all our national finalists will be awarded a pre placement interview opportunity with Reliance Industries. So gear up and give it your best. But wait, what's competition without a jury? We have some of our top minds of Reliance with us today. They will be closely assessing your presentations, evaluating your ideas, and will provide their inputs at the end of your presentations. It gives me immense pleasure to announce the jury for this elimination round. Mr. Sanket Kudav, HR Head, FCNA, Ms. Renuka Shastri, Legal Head for Reliance Retail Group and New Age Businesses and M&A. So let's get started. I would like to call upon our very first team, Avant Garde.
Thank you. I can finally see. Life can be a real challenge when your vision is out of focus. Did you know that in India, a staggering amount of the population are dependent on spectacles to just go about their day?
So almost 22% of those under 19, almost 27% of those under 19 to 30, and almost 25% of those under 30 to 44, and the staggering 45% beyond 45. This all the statistics tell how many people are spectacle wearers.
See, I also have a specs. So, eye care nowadays is essential for youth in India, and pollution and stressful lifestyle is also contributing to this.
As already described, the Indian population dependent on spectacles to see accounts for around 490 million, and that is no joke. But fear not, because today we are here to present our new product, GeoWear Eyewear, an adaptive focal length changing eyewear that automatically adjusts the optical power as your eyes change with age without needing expensive new glasses or the cost for going to the ophthalmologist or changing your frames.
The mechanical model of our product uses interconnected sliding lens element and a thumbnail adjuster to provide precision tuning of each prescription with greater flexibility. It is much better than all those fixed single version and progressive lenses, and all this at 30,000 rupees. So, and with lifelong adjustability. So, one-time investment and lifetime return.
Furthermore, the auto-adjust technology helps to improve surgical implants, microscope, telescopes, and many more. We have a detailed manufacturing cost plan ready, which gives us an attractive 40 to 45% product margin. I would like to summarize by saying that GeoWear delivers the lens which matches with our demand of changing eyes year after year, and it gives 400 million Indians freedom from visiting the doctors often and also proofing their eyesight for the future. I would like to invite collaborations and partnerships. Thank you.
The gift of vision is truly one of our biggest blessings to our human race. However, humankind has brought about the destruction of this very gift with heavy screen usage, pollution, and stressful work and sedentary lifestyles. This has started our wrestle with worsening eyesight. Over 500 million Indians use spectacles. The proportions sound something like this. The teens comprise of 22% of spectacle wearers. Young adults have around 27% of them wearing specs. 25% of the age group between 30 to 44. 45% of the ages between 45 to 59. And 42%. Sorry. Yeah. 42% of the population aged 60 and above depend on spectacles to go about their daily lives. This drives recurring expenses for the individual consumer, averaging to about rupees 15,000 yearly for prescription changes. To take on this pressing matter, we, Team Avant-Garde, have come up with a revolutionary product, GeoView Eyewear. GeoView offers game-changing autofocal length adjusting prescription glasses, allowing you to set your eye power to your comfort for viewing. Our patented technology gives you the freedom to adjust the power as per your preference, no repeat eye appointments, and no long queues needed. With built in UV and blue light filtering, glare reduction, and lightweight titanium frames for all day wear, GeoView takes eye health seriously with a futuristic look. Focus on your work and not just your worsening eyesight. This is perfect for working professionals in the 18 to 40 age bracket. GeoView cuts costs and reduces lost time adjusting glasses, promising a lifetime savings of rupees 3 lakh for the upper middle class customer at an attractive rupees 12,500 price point, along with attractive EMI payment options for the average customer. It purely means value. What's more, this cost also includes free lifetime eye checkups and spectacle calibration at all Reliance owned Vision Express and Sunglass Hut franchisees. A 10-year warranty is a certificate of our assurance in the quality of this and also comforts the customer in making this investment. GeoView Eyewear offers the benefits of long-term, hassle-free vision correction on a budget. Integrated logistics automation and distribution scaling focuses on affordably serving this high-potential 200 million plus market needing vision solutions. As pioneers of adjustable eyewear, GeoView looks to drive majority adoption. Our affordable pricing unlocks the promise of adaptive glasses for the prudent and cost-cautious consumer. With this revolutionary product, we aim to empower India's young and working class population with clear vision, which would lead to better productivity, high work efficiency, and performance, thereby its contributing positively to India's growth. Simplify vision care with GeoView's auto-correcting solution. Join our mission to make eyewear accessible and economical for all. Adaptive technology is the way forward. Upgrade your eyesight today. Thank you.
Hey, morning team.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning, sir.
morning, sir.
Appreciate your idea. I would really like to understand. I believe the slides didn't change. I was just seeing the first slide. I would really like to understand the numbers game, the entire. How did you reach your respective cost model that you have put up together? Because if you're talking of titanium, if you're talking of lenses that are going to be progressively changing the way the eyesight requires it to be, those are not going to be coming in cheap from the way I understand, considering that I myself, while I'm not wearing a glass now, I myself have glasses and I understand it's not going to be as cheap as it probably sounds. So I'm just interested to understand how did you guys reach at the entire costing model or cost model of yours?
Yes, sir. So, sir, we did a survey basically to understand the current costs incurred for an average consumer, somebody in the age bracket of like 20 to 25. And that value, like the average value per is something that we surveyed. And we multiplied that over the average tenure that an average Indian would be wearing spectacles. And then for our model, which is an adjustable spectacles, which basically has a lever that allows you to control the movement of the lenses within the glasses. To make this more easy to understand, we are visualizing this as the lenses of a camera, you can say, which by just turning, you can adjust the zoom and the focal length for the same. Now, coming to the cost aspect, sir, we have done a calculation which is not included here. But in this, we have included the costs for the lenses that we would need. As we've already mentioned, it has UV, it has anti-glare, and all the requirements that would aid a normal average Indian worker who has like a lot of screen time, including the titanium frames that you have mentioned. And we've also considered the cost that these glasses would be thick to allow for this mechanism of lenses to be fitted inside, such that it can cover a wide range of powers, short sightedness, far sightedness, and also the liquid housing that would be required to allow for the smooth movement of these lenses, sir. So we have factored in all these costs, and if required, we can present that also.
Okay, I would have really loved to see it. I don't know if we really have time for doing that, but I would have loved to see that. One more piece, and then I'll ask Renuka to take over. Is see in the current age where, especially people, younger people like you also matter, or you all looks also matter, and a lot of times we have this piece of doing LASIK surgery and so on and so forth, so that you completely do away with the concept of having even to wear a glass. It's again a one time investment, but then you don't need to bother about having a to wear a glass in the first place itself. How do you defy competition from, because that's also a competition for you from a business case perspective? How do you defy that competition?
Yes. So thank you for bringing that up because we had factored this in as well. The ergonomic factors would be a major challenge for us because with such a big housing, it would be slightly uncomfortable for the wearer as well. So our current focus now is to make this comfortable for our consumer. And coming to the point about LASIK surgery, definitely it is a one-stop solution for proper vision. But we also know that majority, like quite a big segment of the customers of the spectacle wearers, have some preconceived notions about LASIK surgery. They do not. They fear the surgery basically because they do not have proper information about what happens, and some there are cases as well that. Say that you are not able to completely adjust your power to like a zero level power, and people have faced some of the people have faced some side effects of this LASIK surgery as well. So we are trying to target those customers that are kind of averse towards the surgery but can also afford these spectacles.
Renuka, I can take over, please.
Thanks, Ankit. Hi. Um, I think the very first beginning of the presentation, I thought you will make us go spectacle free. um, so my question would be, how about the user experience? What are the aspects that you have kept intact from a user experience perspective? The second quick question is, how do you attend to the style quotient? Because everyone does not want to be going with the same similar kind of glasses. I'm sure everyone will start, thinking that this is the spectacles and there is reputation, and they would want to kind of change on that. And then the third one is, how do you service your customers? Because you're saying this is going to be a lifetime spectacles, right? What are the plans that you have for servicing? I'll just give you the questions intact so that if at all you want to keep any of them short. One is the user experience, and then the second one is style coefficient, and then the third one is servicing. How you want to plan the services.
Got it. Anybody would like to take it up? Okay. So for the user experience, ma'am, this is currently something that we are brainstorming on because, as already mentioned, that the glasses would be slightly heavy and thick as well, which might deter the average consumer from going for this. So firstly, we would have to create some educational campaigns to explain how our product is much more a better investment than changing your prescription frames yearly. Secondly, coming to the attractiveness feature, we are planning once we launch this product. We also plan on offering the option of giving tinted lenses, which basically you can change your lens colors, and this would obviously incur more costs. So we would next aim to try to reduce the manufacturing cost for the same, and we would also try to incorporate this with a mobile app such that it allows seamless usage of these spectacles. This again would involve sensors and some additional costs in the product. But via this mobile app, we can connect our spectacles to it and allow the provision for different kinds of styles, basically changing the tints of the lenses. And ma'am, the third one was I'm not able to recollect now.
Service, because it's a long term.
Yes. So, as mentioned in the pitch, ma'am, we would allow for lifetime checking of your eye power physically in case there are consumers who, might not be fully confident in their ability to tune the spectacles. We would offer them lifetime free eye checkup at these Vision Express and Sunglass Hut franchisees, as well as a 10-year warranty for the product and calibration for the spectacles if, again, they are not confident about their tuning of the spectacles.
Okay, these are all included as part of your free services. Is that how you're
Yes,
good?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. That's it.
Because
I
we
have.
understand the cost is high, so we would need to include this as well to get customers on board.
Great. Thank you. That's it. That's it from my end.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
All the best to you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you, thank you. Great job, team. So let's move on to the next team. We have Vision Minds with us.
The population of India is 1.4 billion. Our strength and our resources are in numbers. Tapping into this strength, we aim to bring forward the idea of sexual well being. Now, let us hear a story about a product. We successfully moved these sanitary pads from stigma to wellness. Before we dive in, we ask a question. Why is there still a taboo around the word condom? The question sets the stage for a model and approach to sexual health. With urban areas already constituting a significant 65% of the condom market, the substantial 35% share in rural regions unveils a substantial untapped opportunity. Entering the rural market presents a vast potential for growth and market expansion, as there is considerable room for outreach and development in these areas. Leveraging these untapped market can be a strategic move for business to diversify and address a broader consumer base, thereby capitalizing on the untapped potential in rural regions. The main players in the Indian condom market often position their products within the pleasure category, neglecting a comprehensive approach to sexual well-being. Restricting condom advertisements to specific adult-oriented time slots normalizes the taboo surrounding them. By shifting the focus from pleasure-centered content to wellness and education, we have the potential to expand into significant markets, challenging societal perceptions and promoting a healthier approach to sexual well-being. We aim to bridge the gap in sexual health awareness and accessibility. Here is how it goes. We team up with NGOs and health centers in a fresh new way. Because there are over 3 million NGOs, among which around 70% of them are into health services and around 1.5 million health centers, this would be the best way to get into the rural market. This approach combines their local resources and our resources for a comprehensive sexual health program. By training the staff of these organizations, turning them into local advocates who understand their communities well, they become the go-to people for accurate sexual health information and distributing the materials related to sexual health. Now the NGOs and the healthcare centers will convey sexual health information to rural communities, introducing condoms during educational sessions in rural areas. This is how we approach our final customers. We aim to abolish the taboo and bring in wellness with condoms.
It's then presenting.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Vision Minds. Do you have your team with you, or can you start with your pitch?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Let's start.
We are really sorry for the delay, ma'am, because there's something issue with the technical. In a minute, we'll start.
Hi everyone, good morning. Am I audible? Okay, hi everyone, good morning. As we have seen in the video, we focus on abolishing taboo and bringing in wellness with condoms. Our vision is to empower individuals and communities by fostering inclusivity and positive transformation, which leads to a world where sexual health is celebrated and accessible for all. There are several reasons as to why we have chosen this area of concern. India ranks third globally in HIV/AIDS cases, according to United Nations reports, emphasizing the need for increased efforts to make a difference. India also faces rising challenges of unwanted pregnancies, abortions, and untimely deaths. Our commitment is to provide accessible solutions, fostering a healthier and more informed society. Now, coming to our target segment, urban areas constitute 65% of condom markets, while rural areas only contribute a mere 35%. Entering rural market means huge growth opportunities. With room for outreach and development, it's a smart move for us to diversify, reach more customers, and tap into untapped potential in rural regions. Now, coming to our business model, we begin by manufacturing condoms and then move on to the packaging stage. The packaging includes strategic taglines and logos aligned with our company's mission and vision. We also provide an informative paper on how to use condoms, providing essential instructions. As we are in the initial stages and targeting rural populations, direct selling isn't feasible. To reach them effectively, we employ a collaborative strategies with NGOs and health centers already involved in health services. We educate these organizations first and then in turn produce a product to the rural population. To further connect with rural communities, we enlist local influencers who help in normalizing the condoms and in turn sexual health. Additionally, we recognize the sensitivity of purchasing condoms in person, so we strategically place vending machines near pharmacies and other important locations. This way, customers can discreetly access condoms without feeling embarrassed or having awkward conversations. This comprehensive approach helps us to reach our final customers. Thank you.
Hey, morning team.
Hi, sir.
Hey. Okay, first of all, I don't see any business model. I mean, I understand your logistics that you have tried to put in together, but what's the cost that you're going to incur? How are you going to sell it? What is the model? How are you going to manage the actual supply chain in terms of from some your manufacturing location to multiple distribution centers that you are wanting to target? I mean, I don't see anything of that. Where is what? How are you planning to do that? So, I mean, simple example, what's going to be the cost of each condom that you are going to sell? What's going to be your cost? What is it that's going to be the cost to the customer who's going to buy it? I simply say.
Sir, on an average, the manufacturing cost will be around less than 1 rupee, sir.
Sorry, your voice is echoing. I couldn't hear you, Shiv Prasad.
Sir, on an average, the manufacturing cost comes around less than 1 rupee, sir. And the government has instructed to sell the condoms in less than 10 rupees or 9.75 rupees, sir.
How did you reach that concept of 1 rupee?
Sir, usually I went through every company's, mainly Durex, Mankind, Kamasut, all those companies. Their manufacturing cost came below the 1 rupee, sir.
So what all is
Around
involved in that?
0.75
Because I
rupees.
unfortunately, as I said, don't see anything of that in your presentation. So what all materials would you require? Your machinery, there's going to be land, everything is going to be required. There's going to be running
Yes, sir.
costs of the entire plant. Then there are going to be distribution costs, distribution center costs. If you're putting up a vending machine, there'll be a cost involved for that as well. So all those
Yes.
things are also going to be there as part of your overall cost structure.
Sir, as it is, we are initially starting, it is an capital intensive, sir, at initially. But later it will be an long-term yield like business, sir. Usually this condom business is like long-term yield. As we go on for some years, then the yields will actually come into place, sir. Right now, it is an capital intensive, sir.
Renuka, you can take over, please.
Thanks, Ankit. Hi, everyone. I think that the questions I want to kind of target is How did you arrive at the idea saying that you want to target rural areas? What is the basis for it? Because is there any study that you have done, or is there data which says that there is no popularity of condoms in rural area? What's the reference data points?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
As we have done the research, like we were seeing the papers, few papers, research papers and all, we saw that most of the rural areas, as we know that only 35% of the total population among the rural areas are actually aware, and some studies say that 2% of rural people doesn't even know that regarding condoms or sexual health wellness. So tap you going through them would be a greatest opportunity right now as a maybe an starters. It will be very much interesting to go through them, even though it is slight difficult, but tapping into their interest or maybe making them our loyal customers would be a greatest yield throughout. As we are and we are also thinking regarding vending machines. So an average vending machine would cost 30 to 40,000, and it has already been implemented in India in one place, that is in Gujarat, Surat. So it has already been implemented, and it has some four varieties in it. This will help us to go like it will be very as a woman, as a girl, it will be very unconscious to go and ask a random person regarding condom maybe. So this would help maybe any customers go and ask them, not even ask them, just go and take it to themselves and be aware that yeah, they can use it. So that was our idea, ma'am.
And you're talking about the instruction leaflet and instructions that you're going to provide how to use it. Considering the literacy, what's the database that you have looked at? How do you even expect them to read them? How do you expect them to understand the instructions which you're going to give?
Ma'am, we are since we are in the initial stage, so we are thinking even an app or a website where educational videos and demonstrations will be provided in local languages. So even when we provide a leaflet, so it will be customized to the local languages because we are catering to the rural market. So I think that will be beneficial to tap into the market.
Okay, did you? I'll come to that point. What are the aspects, like? What are the sources or channels that you want to use these websites and other things? How would you ideate this? How would you ideate? You can create a
Ma'am, could you
website.
please repeat?
You can create a website, but usage of the website, awareness of the website, all of these, and how the literacy that you're trying to target on, how do you think
Okay,
you
ma'am.
will
Basically,
enable?
we have instead of more on the concentration, right now we can see the condom market. When we see the major players in the cities, they have shifted from the basic necessity of using condoms for health issues. They have shifted into pleasure centric, where they are looking into variations. But when we concentrate on village, we are still lagging behind. So our model is on collaborating with NGOs and healthcare centers, where around 1.5 million healthcare centers which are there in NGOs revolve around them. So a whole model is based on the educational approach. So holding workshops and demonstrations, and also visiting schools and colleges, where like we have also known that many sex education lacks in India when it comes to schools or colleges, where we have even researched that many of our friends as well weren't taught the basic reproductive system in their 10th standard or ninth standard. So people are lagging behind in knowledge. So where our platform comes, it's all about spreading awareness through schools and colleges. So it becomes a necessity. And through them, we give them basic pamphlets and create a website, an app where we customize to the local languages. And that is how our whole model of creating awareness comes into picture.
Okay, see, I think one of the question, because now you're talking about education, role model, sexual education, but you're saying the customers can go and discreetly purchase the condoms. These are little contradicting for me. So maybe that's something that you may want to elaborate. I think, Avni, are we time up or can they take this question?
Uh, Ma'am, can we just answer this question?
So,
Sure.
yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah. So, like I said, in our plan, the stigma is not going to go out suddenly. It's a process. And like even the girls in the villages or even in the cities, it is not easy for a woman or somebody to walk up and ask for what they require, the sizes or the flavors or what they are looking for. I think even in the cities, installing a vending machine will be very comfortable without having awkward conversations. So the thing is, our main aim is to abolish stigma, but also what we are trying to concentrate in where it is easily accessible to everyone, be it rural or villages. So installing this vending machine strategically first in the medical store helps so that you don't have awkward conversations, can go select, pay and buy it. Later on, where, in the few villages and strategic locations where people are accepting to our education model, we slowly plan to, install these vending machines in strategic locations. So it will be beneficial for them. See, though the main idea is to abolish stigma, like when we have spoken about pads, it's sanitary napkins, it didn't happen over a year or a 6 months when the business started. It took time. So the educational process is going to take time. It doesn't mean people will go and approach directly and one fine day the stigma is going to go away. So it's a gradual process. I think if we install vending machines and go with this collaborative approach, it becomes easily accessible. So that was our whole idea behind it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, team. That was an extremely insightful presentation. Now, let's allow our jury a minute to complete scoring this team. While they make their assessments, let us have some fun. Here are some interesting trivia questions about Reliance. Try to guess the answers in the comment section. The first person to answer correctly gets our amazing TUP merchandise. So, ready? Here we go. Great job! You've guessed it right. Please reach out to us on our social media handles or support@unstop.com. Moving on, we are now ready for our next team. I would like to invite Trilogy on the stage to start with their presentation.
Hello everyone, we are Team Trilogy from IIM Bangalore, and our idea is to transform the construction industry with our eco bricks. The construction industry is currently booming with a CAGR of 7.4%. The annual brick demand in India is 250 billion, and there are more than 7,400 projects in the pipeline by the NIP. However, this progress comes at a cost. The industry accounts for 34% of global energy consumption, with cement being the second largest polluting industry. Also, this industry is contributing to 5.7 billion tons of carbon dioxide emissions, amongst the other unsustainable factors. This has led to various authorities promoting policies such as green building initiatives, National Action Plan on Climate Change's Low Carbon Development, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs banning clay bricks, and Environmental Ministry promoting fly ash bricks. So, how are we planning to ride this wave profitably and sustainably? Let me introduce you to our product, EcoBrick, a sustainable and superior alternative composed of 95% industrial waste and 5% cement. The raw material are copper slag, gypsum, fly ash, and cement. The copper slag comes from copper smelters, which causes soil and water contamination. The gypsum from fertilizer industry, which is not fit for normal landfills, and fly ash from thermal power plants, which is a toxic air pollutant. The primary benefits are waste management, better properties, and environmental conservation. Ours is all about sustainability. But is that it? Not really. We fare better than the existing alternatives in 5 major parameters, such as high compressive strength and water absorption. It uses only 5% cement content, reducing costs, and the binding material and energy requirements is the least amongst all. Despite being the best in properties, we are also the cheapest. with a selling price of only 5 rupees. From a business standpoint, we have a strong financial growth starting at 1.2% to 10.6% in 5 years, keeping in mind a very conservative estimate. Finally, our solution contributes to 5 of the UN SDG goals as shown in here.
In comparing with the already existing AAC blocks or fly ash bricks or the traditional clay bricks, it has a better strength and is robust enough to be used in both filled infilled walls and non-bearing and load-bearing walls also. And this is durable and cheaper if it is prepared in the vicinity of these industries. This eco brick will have a long-term impact in reducing the depletion of natural resources like river sand or manufactured sand.
Good morning, esteemed audience. Today, we are excited to present to you our groundbreaking product, EcoBricks, a sustainable alternative crafted from industrial waste, challenging conventional bricks across various performance parameters. This is one of space in the construction industry where innovation hasn't hit the mainstream in a big way. Our primary target market is the local residential sector, and we envision forging strategic partnership with major construction industry players as we ramp up the production. With a conservative estimate aiming for 10% market share, we anticipate supplying 11 million bricks annually. Now let's dwell into the product's journey through the supply chain, spanning four crucial stages. First is the raw material procurement. Our ideal location for material sourcing are states housing copper refineries, fertilizer plants, and thermal facilities. Second would be the brick manufacturing. By eliminating the energy intensive baking process, we set up facilities in proximity to these industrial zones, ensuring efficiency. Post-processing involves open-air drying and curing, ready for market distribution with a remarkable time frame of 7 days. The distribution strategy involves around optimizing the logistic cost. The initial distribution will focus on nearby construction sites, gradually expanding to serve larger corporates and government entities as we ramp up our production. Next. So the upside of the eco bricks are cost effectiveness achieved through innovative use of traditional industrial waste, enhanced structural integrity due to low water absorption, superior compressive strength suitable for both load bearing and infill walls. So it also requires only minimal energy consumption thanks to the elimination of baking. So a strategic trajectory involves as follows. So we initially planned to set up our operations in Madhya Pradesh and Odisha during the first 2 years, featuring one brick making unit operating two shifts with a daily production capacity of 50,000 bricks. Subsequent years witnessed an addition of new mission, broadening our scope and catering to larger market. To provide a glimpse into our financial outlook, we have done calculation for one medium-sized plant. Our break-even selling point stands at rupees 3.5 with an assumption of 5 per brick in the top line calculation. Profitability is projected to kick in from the first year, reaching to 10 crore by the fifth year. However, the scalability potential is foreseen to rupees 55,000 crores, capturing 10% market share from Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, and Andhra Pradesh. So, to conclude, the future of the construction is sustainability, and ecobricks are at the forefront of this transformation. By embracing ecobricks, we are not only just building structures, but constructing a greener legacy for a better generation. Join us in this moment. Be the change, be the now. Thank you all. Signing off, Team Trilogy. We are open to questions.
Good morning, team. I hope you can hear us.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So, help me understand. We're talking of sustainability. Copper is still a natural resource. Is going to run out eventually. How do you take care of sustainability from that perspective?
I can take up that question. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, Niranjan.
So the thing is, copper industry, yes, copper slag is a waste that's generated. But the thing is, this any metallic slag is an equivalent here. We have put copper slag here because the patent that we have acquired was based on copper slag. However, any metallic slag contains the binding properties required to give the strength and the same curing stages as compared to this brick. So we'll always have those raw materials available. Secondly, we are also like this brick is only based on the copper slag, but in the future run, we are planning to set up an R&D team that looks into other sources of raw materials that can be used to produce bricks in a much more sustainable way. So currently in the pipeline, we also have something that can be made using uh, the extracts from the soap industry. So that is not something that is included here, but that is a thing that we would diversify into in the future.
Okay, from soap industry is also supposedly one of the most polluting industries, the way I look
Yes.
at it, right? How
Yes.
do you really, again, I mean, your base idea started from a sustainable perspective, but somewhere or the other, we are still
Yeah.
factoring something that is always going to be a question mark in terms of sustainability.
I
So
can
I
take it
would
up.
like to,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, Radha,
So
go ahead.
basically, copper slag is just the major thing which gives the concrete content for this brick. You can go in for other metallic slags. Usage of metals is not going to stop. So it can be taken from iron slag. It can be taken from other metallic slags also. The soap industry is something which is used for another brick. It's not this particular brick. It's basically just using the wastage. There are a lot of raw materials that can be used just using the industrial waste. So, using soap based is another kind of brick which can be seen for the future.
To add
Right.
on to it, like
Yeah.
all the industries which uses, I mean, harmful pollutants and are depleting it to the landfills, all those actually procure this environmentally and pollution certificate. So that is our starting point. With that belief, we will be incorporating it. And however, to make sure a product is not harmful, because since we use these industrial waste, we are using a lot of plastering technology because over it we have a cement, and then as you add on paint and everything, we'll make sure that even the sustainability factor is addressed, though we are using this industrial waste into it.
Right. One more, and I'll get Renuka to take over. Where did you align or arrive at a cost of 30,000 for a brickmaking machine or a 70,000 cost in terms of salary per month for putting up a medium-sized plant? I
Okay.
mean, I see that in your. How did you arrive at that cost? Because
Yeah.
70,000. How many people, first of all, are you going to employ? Because 70,000 is
Yes.
not too much of salary. I won't be able to hire maybe two or three people beyond that in that
Yes.
amount of salaries in a per month basis.
So this is a per month estimate, and we have taken only for one manufacturing machine, and which is already taken from online. You can even see it in India Mart, or you can see it even in a particular website called Revomac, I guess. So this is the brick making machine, which had a particular production capacity, which we have taken into consideration, and that is what you can see in per annum as in crores. If we run the facility for 25 days a month, and with a shift of 8 hours, so you can have one shift of 8 hours, two shifts will be in 16 hours. We have taken the growth from one machine per year, so it goes up to five machines, and sorry, it goes up to four machines, and yeah, it is the
How many
cost
employees do
actually
you
taken
plan
from there.
to? Sorry, how many
Yes.
employees do you plan to hire?
Yes, so it is an automated brick making machine. So you need only five members for running the machine, for utilizing the machine and for other work. And the land requirement also is taken based on the production capacity. And also, as the machine size increases, they themselves have mentioned the actual labor required. So when we spoke with the ma'am who has patented this technology, she said this has in particular very low labor cost involved, because labor are not required for making the machine work. It's only for inputting the raw material and taking the bricks out.
No, but what about the
There are,
logistics in terms of whatever gets produced? You still have
Mm.
to stack it up. Then the
Yes.
subsequent logistics of ensuring it goes to
Yes.
your respective
Yes.
dealers, vendors who are going to be
Yes.
working with you, and then subsequently spreading your
Mm.
arms across multiple states. You said MP, two, three states is what you said to
Yes.
start off with. That will
Yes.
require a lot of manpower too.
Yes.
Where has
So
that
our
been?
logistics, we have included only the part where we have to transport the bricks from the machine to the land we have. So it's around 35,000 square feet or 70,000 square feet in the beginning. And then for the other logistics, it is excess cost only. And we have taken a price of 5 rupees per brick. Only the break even selling price is 3.5. So our revenue and cost is basically 5 rupees per brick. That's how we have aimed at it. The logistics will be the only contributing factor for the cost, which will be taken up by the builders if needed, or if we have to input also certain percentage, we can do it. And our initial setup will be to distribute only to the nearby area, so that that cost comes down, because the annual demand in India itself is too great. So even if we, supply only to the residential sectors and only to the MP belt, near MP region itself, that will itself, look after the demand for the initial stages. And further on, we can look after the logistics cost also and increase prices. Because of fly ash bricks cost 6.5, a normal clay brick costs 10 rupees. Transportation anyway brings in a lot of cost for them. So this will at least reduce the cost of the actual brick, so that this add-on of logistics will not be a very big contributing factor for our transportation.
So to add on to it, that the logistics is actually a major cost driver. So that's why we have strategically, come up with this location of MP, Orissa, and Andhra Pradesh. So if you see, the major copper smelters are actually located, and it's present in Madhya Pradesh, followed by thermal power plants, Vidyanchal in Madhya Pradesh as well. So to cut down the cost and make sure it is more a sustainable venture in the initial stages, so we are planning to start with these locations. So that was our idea indeed.
Renuka, I can take it.
Thank you. Um, hi everyone. I think while you're saying the very brick is going to be eco-friendly for the
Yes.
construction purpose, eventually there will be a situation or a time when the very construction is going to be destructed, right? How eco-friendly is that post that? What's the recyclability? What
Okay.
is the plans that you have? Because whatever that you are going to create should not become a waste again, right? That should be the waste that will have to be degradable or something like that. How have you planned that?
Can I get the question again?
So my
You mentioned.
question is, you're saying it's eco-friendly, right?
Yes.
And you're going to save a lot of natural resources,
Yes.
correct?
Mm.
There are many products which says it is eco-friendly when it is manufactured and when it is
Okay.
consumed. What
Yes.
happens to the
Mm-hmm.
end of the product when these particular products are destructed? The construction is destructed. This will
Mm.
become a waste. What is your plan for
Yes.
that? Because your pitch is eco-friendly to sell the
Yes.
product. What will you do
Yeah.
with the product after it is done and dusted? How will you handle that?
So usually, even in normal construction industry, right? So construction industry is not gonna die. Even the buildings which are built out of clay bricks, after destructing them, they use it as rubbish as base for the other constructions which are coming up. So
Hmm.
similarly, we can use the same materials which we have used when the building is destructed, when we can use it as a base and then plaster it on, and then it will be fine. So that's how we can move on using the same thing.
Understood. So, have you
Yeah.
evaluated that particular aspect to say
Mm.
this is something which will be used as the next cycle of that particular material, and here is the cost, and here is how it is? Is that a follow-up plan that is there, or
No,
it's
no, no.
it's yet
We
to
have
be
not
developed?
included that as follow up right here. We have just included the manufacturing and the distribution here.
Understood. See, you
Ma'am,
Yeah,
just to
you
add on
had
it.
go ahead.
yeah.
Yes. So the calculations that we have shown here is just one medium size plant. So our plan is to capture 10% of the market share. However, we just wanted to show you, like, even if you run a small medium sized plant right away today, this is the amount of profitability that we can achieve. So that's why we have put this one, and we've only
Okay,
focused on the unit economics. We have not incorporated the recycling part of it, but it is definitely something we will consider for the later.
understood. You have this is a patented product. That's what I understand.
Yes.
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 How do you plan the royalties and licenses to the inventor? Is that included in the cost? Or are you saying this is a patent that you have created from your company?
So, ma'am, so the person who owns the patent is my mother. So
Okay.
it is something that we would consider as it's the patent invented by our company itself. However, even if that's the case, if we have to add royalties also, the price of the brick in the worst case scenario would come maximum up to 4 per brick, the cost. So even then, we would see that as considerable profit margin left over.
Understood. So, what's the binding material that you're going to recommend for this particular brick? What's the binding material?
Ma'am, it's
I would like
cement. Oh, yeah. 330.
So,
Okay.
I would like
You
to
can
take
take
it
it
up.
up.
So, here the main binding material would be this 5% of cement, which combines all this. This will be our no exact plastering technology, which will be the 5% of cement. which
Yes.
is way less when compared to the fly ash and other traditional
Yeah.
bricks.
Also, the slag from the fertilizer industry, which is the phosphogypsum, it contains lime, which also acts as a binding material to this.
Okay, and all the
Yeah.
sturdiness and all of the
Yes.
what do
So
you call the standing has been tested, or
yes,
Yes, ma'am.
how
Yes.
have
Yes,
they
Yes,
been?
ma'am. So
I'll
it
take
has.
this.
yeah, I'll take up this question. So, ma'am, the major tests which includes the compressive strength, tensile strength, flexure strength, and also water absorption test was done. So, in all the parameters, we weigh better. For example, compression strength it's around 7 to 10 Newton per mm square when compared to traditional bricks, which has around 5 Newton per mm square. Same with tensile strength is around 1 Newton per mm square, which is also way beyond the clay bricks. So, in that way, also we weigh better. And the very most important is on the water absorption, which is also better in when compared to fly ash and AAC bricks, because this will also reduce this fungal contamination in the walls due to rainy seasons and all those. So these are the major tests that we have already performed with this brick. So, and to add on to it, there is also a prototype building which is existing in Tuticorin, which is like now 3 years. The building is still live and steady.
So the
And
plan is for you
yes.
to tie up with the manufacturers, convince them to manufacture these bricks.
So basically, now already there has been more laws which have banned clay bricks for usage in big projects like government projects, and even there is a lot of exporting of fly ash bricks also, fly ash as such, and also the usage of fly ash bricks in India. So we can take up this load to replace or give it as an alternative for the clay bricks in itself, because we are not able to satisfy the demand within India as of right now.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So
Yeah.
instead of asking somebody to manufacture, we're thinking of either leasing out the machines or buying them up and then just start production from our own side.
Thank you, guys. All the best.
Yes. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, team. That was a brilliant presentation. Let's call upon our next team, which is Kona Dukan.
Hi, panelists. We're Team Kona Dukan, and I want to start with why the name Kona Dukan. It's not just a name, it's a heartfelt journey. Picture those cherished days when our mothers would just send us off to the Kona Dukan balas for atta, dal, and chawal. Today, Kona Dukan reimagines that tradition by empowering neighborhood grocery stores to thrive in the digital age by listing on the ONDC marketplace. It truly is the future of neighborhood commerce. Through our primary research with Kiranawalas like Raghuram, we understood that while they recognize the transformative potential of embracing digital platforms like ONDC, they grapple with unending challenges during the onboarding process, with issues like absence of a standardized catalog and listing long tail SKUs like we would see in a Kiranawala store. And with growing their business, since there is a lack of credit financing to ensure working capital, and intricacies of tax filing since prevalence of cash or credit transactions in this sector makes compliance very challenging. Raghuram's challenges highlight the foundational barriers that we see to digital commerce adoption in the country within the MSME sector.
Now let's talk about the business case for Kona Dukan. Of the 12 million plus sellers in India that earn their livelihood by selling products and services, only 15,000 or 0.125% of the total have enabled e-commerce. E-retail has been out of the reach for majority of sellers, especially from small towns and villages. Only 2% of the 400 billion consumer spending in groceries take place through Kirana stores that have access to modern inventory management and lending infrastructure. There is a market gap of 99% with respect to user adoption. ONDC covers this gap in digital adoption by unbundling the e-commerce play through its standardized protocol, which allows all retailers access to delivery and demand. Now, while big players like PhonePe and Paytm are creating the demand side, we at Kona Dukan want to help create the supply side by helping Kiranawalas onboard and succeed on the ONDC platform through services such as catalog as a service, inventory and sales optimization, all enabled by AI. We expect this to be a $17 billion TAM.
Our focus is on bridging the gap between the sellers and the ONDC network, spearheading the digital revolution in Indian e commerce. Continuing the journey of Raghuram, the 56-year-old Kirana store owner in Rohtak, who decides to transform his business digitally. Through the Kona Dukan app, he can register on our platform, seamlessly get onboarded onto the ONDC network, and unlock a world of opportunities. Now picture this: Raghuram gaining direct access to countless customer on buyer apps within the ONDC ecosystem. The magic doesn't stop there. Kona Dukan offers a plethora of services, making it a one-stop solution for sellers. From enhanced visibility to a diverse customer base, Raghuram will find himself in a position to thrive. The best part is that sellers start making money as soon as they onboard onto the app. Let's be a part of the e-commerce evolution in India.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. A few questions. Help us understand. One is, what is the distribution of Kirana stores in urban, semi-urban, and rural sectors? Any idea? Me, I'm asking you. Please.
Sure. So I think the distribution of Kirana stores throughout the country is varied, and there is a higher concentration in terms of Kirana stores in the tier 2 segment and villages.
Okay, so help me understand. See, DMarts of the world, the Reliance Marts of the world have, in a great way, also changed the way people look at grocery shopping. Right? You most of the times you go on once a month, fill in. There's still that's what a lot of your majority of your population does is once in a month you go and fill in your groceries, go to a DMart, and it's a shopping experience in itself, right? You don't just go in from a perspective just buying groceries. You also go in from experience. It's an event in itself, right? How do you really look at getting people also to look at only adopting uh, an online platform? For example, today when I look at buying groceries, it's more from a perspective. If I go to an online piece like a big basket or a milk basket or whichever it is, right? All of that is more from a perspective. I need something on a short notice, I do it. Otherwise, if I need to buy something which is going to suffice me for a month, it's going to be those Apna Bazaars or the DMarts or the Reliance Marts of the world. Right? How do you really pull customers also, and secondly entice a, a kirana store owner also to get onboarded on a platform like this to be able to really see the fruits of it.
Correct.
I think the
So
way that
that's
uh,
go for it.
sorry. So the way that I look at it is there are two sides of it, right? Like we said, there's a supply side and there's a demand side. When we look at the demand side, when it comes to grocery shopping, there's only one thing that I feel like that's top of mind for most shoppers is price sensitivity. Like when you go and buy your monthly groceries, while there is the shopping experience that's attached to it, where you go out to a mall, like you said, to a DMart or maybe a big bazaar to buy groceries, but there's also that element of price sensitivity that's now creeping in within the customers because of the availability of all these apps like Big Basket, or we see Paytm has all these marketplaces now. So what we see here is that price sensitivity is top of mind for people, and the way that we could possibly think about driving adoption here is kind of having nudges through these apps, because
Correct.
Paytms or a PhonePe that already exists today. Sorry, Arush, go ahead.
Yeah, and just to talk about the sort of the user narrative you talked about, right? DMart and going to the grocery store one time. I'm not 100% sure about how relevant that is, because something like e-grocery has seen a 66% CAGR in India over the last 3 years, right? And our sort of our work is to create the supply side. The demand side is already being created by PhonePe and pin code, by and Paytms of the world. So our part is to work on the supply side, which is getting the kirana walas onboarded. And I think the demand is there and the demand is growing.
Sorry, but when you still have a big baskets of the world or the Zeptos of the world delivering practically all possible stuff in 10 minutes, uh, I mean, why would I still go to some kirana store which is close to my place, who will also take the same amount of time? Again, for that person, again, logistics is something that you'll have to put in place, because I'm sure that is a cost that you'll have to factor. Just getting a person onboarded on an online platform is one piece, but for them to be able to subsequently manage the logistics, because for me, it's again a part of convenience, right?
Which
Someone
is
comes and
exactly
delivers in 10 minutes. How does it happen
which
for
is
a
yeah, which
kirana
is
store?
yeah, which is exactly like the beauty of the ONDC network, right? So we are
Hmm.
unbundling the entire e-commerce experience. So there's the demand, supply, logistics, and payments. And when we talk about like the logistics, there are players like Shadowfax, etc., who are joining the ONDC network, and they will be doing the entire logistics aspect of it. So as far as the kirana wala goes, it's for him, it just becomes like a play of getting on the platform, maintaining a active inventory, and which is where our app comes in. That is like the solution that our app provides them, and a lot of it is just unbundled. And when you talk about, let's say, other players who are doing the entirety of it, there's just more efficiency when you focus on one thing, right? Like going back to the basic economics principle of productivity, if you're focused on one thing, you are able to do it more efficiently. And that is sort of like also the thesis behind ONDC.
I think just to add to that also, if you look at the players like Zepto or Zomato or Swiggy, their penetration in tier 2 and tier 3 cities is very low. I think this app, what we're trying to do is we are trying to reimagine that in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, increase digital penetration of e-commerce, which is something that we see is happening a lot in tier 1 cities and the metros with Zepto and Swiggy and maybe Zomato doing it with Blinkit. But it's the tier 2 and tier 3 is where we want to penetrate with this solution. And like Arush said, we are unbundling the stack of the ONDC marketplace, and we fit in with as a network service provider for the sellers to get them onboarded to the app, because that in itself is a challenge right now.
I would have loved to see some numbers or the actual revenue model, but fair, for some other day. Renuka, I can take over.
We also have that handy. Arush, if you could kind of go
I
through.
think we'll be running short of time. I would have
Pankaj, I think
appreciated.
any which way, that's my question. Revenue model is my question. So you can go ahead. That will answer both our questions.
Sure.
Uh, so, like broadly, there are three ways that we think of going about when it comes to making revenue. And the revenue model would basically include a subscription play, a credit financing play, and an ad play. So, subscription, when we talk about subscription, what are like the services that we intend to provide, right? So, there are, of course, inventory management softwares that we will be providing. So it'll be a freemium model, and then there's a subscription model attached to it. The reason we believe that there is a scope for a subscription model is because people are paying for the Paytm phone box, right? So that means that the kirana walas are now willing to make subscriptions and payments for things that bring in them more revenue. And again, another thing that we'll be able to provide them is insight at like a aggregate level. Then the second play is credit financing. So we all know India has like a credit financing issue, right? I think the last World Bank number was close to $400 billion, and the reason for that is a lot of players in India are new to credit. And since these players don't have any credit profile, but since we will have access to their transaction data and again demand data at an aggregate level, we will be able to provide them with, let's say, credit financing, etc. And then the last would be an ad play. So like there is a lot of real estate which we can use to show ads for various FMCG companies that might want to reach these kirana walas. When we talk about revenue numbers, it's difficult to have those revenue numbers handy right now because ONDC as a platform is still going live. It's not active in a lot of companies, but we have TAM estimates for this. And the TAM estimate is around $6 billion for the subscription play, $7.5 billion for the credit financing play, and about $3 billion for the ad play.
See, you said you will have the data from the previous transactions. Which are those previous transactions? Where are you going to get the data for the credit facility?
Correct. So the entire inventory exists on our platform, right? So we have the entire inventory data, which we can use to figure out how the transactions are happening. Like that is part of the application that we have.
Also, in addition to that, because we are helping them with tax filing, we will have a integrated system that will flow in the invoices from the ONDC or the invoices that will be generated through the sales. So we will have access to the data in terms of past transactions and invoices as well. So we'll be able to use that to assess creditworthiness of
You
the
know there
kirana
is
wala.
data privacy laws, right?
Yes,
You know you
I mean,
cannot have access to that, right? You're talking
when
about the legal question.
I
Correct.
mean,
Sorry.
uh,
Uh, when you say data privacy, what exactly do you mean? I'm sorry. Because
You
I think
cannot
like we
access
can.
you cannot access those data without the consent, without the approvals, and especially you're saying you're going to file the tax filings, which means you are going to provide auditing services, which means you are going to provide the services which are not part of the ONDC, and you are going to connect two different business streams. For you to connect two different business streams, it's not just ONDC that you're proposing. So, have you evaluated those particular points? Is my question. And credit facility, there are a lot of kiranas who don't pay. Is there a solution that you have for that?
Correct. So these are the entire points that we are talking about, right? So first of all, like addressing the privacy issue, of course, everything will be masked at PII, right? Like there won't be any PII that enters our data systems per se. Everything will be masked. In terms of the tax filing that Sampada mentioned, that's like an extended service in terms of like getting more revenue out of it. So basically, what that happens, and since we have all the inventory management system, it's easier for us to create invoices as a follow-on product. And we have ITR API that I was checking out yesterday, which can sort of help in sort of working out the tax filing aspect of it. That being said, what was your second question? Sorry.
I was saying the ONDC is little different from all of this perspective. So in that case, whatever that you're proposing is not just ONDC. It is ONDC is just an extended business model. That's how I'm actually evaluating, because if you don't have the base and the foundation, there is no ONDC that's going to be set up on top of it. Is
Correct.
that the
So
right? That is what I should understand here in this evaluation.
I think ONDC is the major hook and it will be the focus of Kona Dukan in the initial years. But yes, of course, when it comes to like monetization, we will extend, like there will be business line extensions. But yes, ONDC remains the major pull because right now, for when you talk about the vernacular differences in the country, when you talk about how difficult it is to currently fill the NSP form to become a ONDC network player. So there are a lot of onboarding hitches which we want to solve through the Kona Dukan app, and that will sort of help us get our, get us penetrating the market, etc.
Okay, so you are aware of the ecosystem of ONDC. There is seller app, there is buyer app, and there is PAPG, and there is settlement. If that is the case,
Mhm.
then what is the subscription model that you're proposing?
Correct. So subscription model is to the retailer. I think there is a little confusion on what's happening. So we
No, no,
help
no.
the.
I understood the subscription model. If at all it is a seller app, the
Mhm.
subscription can be only for the retailer, and there is no customer facing for the seller app.
Correct.
I want to understand, because you said subscription, that's something new that I'm hearing, and I want to know more about that.
Correct. So these subscriptions would be something like, giving them insights about how to manage their inventory. These subscriptions would be like giving them solutions on what could they possibly stock. So for one example, let's say through our PII mask data, we know that there are 100 stores who are identical. 90 of them sell Pantene shampoo, the rest 10 don't. There is a very high likelihood that those 10 stores, if they were to, let's say, stock that Pantene shampoo, that's probably going to sell, right? So this is an insight we can provide them. Hey, why don't you try out the Pantene shampoo? Because we think it's likely to sell. And this is like something that's very action oriented for the end customer. And if, let's say, this sells, they are more than willing to subscribe, right? Another example could be, so this is like sort of what I'm thinking right now. And another example could be around expiry date. Since we have the inventory management system, right? Let's say they've ordered a SKU, that SKU is about to expire. They can get an alert saying, hey, I think this SKU hasn't sold. Either put it in front of the market or send it back to the retailer or wholesaler you got it for at a markdown price, because this is not, so it's closer to expiry. So these are like action oriented inputs. And of course, when we look at the data, when this actually goes live, there are probably going to be hundreds of more insights that we're not even thinking about right now. And so this is the subscription part that we are thinking. And there is an element of network effect here as well, as in like the more aggregate data we have, the better we are able to service these end customers as well.
That's it. Thank you so much. I'm done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All the best.
Great. Thank you so much, team. That was a brilliant take on solving the problem. Let's allow our jury another minute to complete scoring the team. And let's have another interesting trivia question about Reliance. Try to guess your answers in the comment section, and the first person to answer will get an amazing TUP merchandise. So Harshit has answered the answer correctly. Please reach out to our social media handles or support@unstop.com. Great. Let's move ahead and let's invite the next team, the Vikings, on stage.
The problem of plastic waste is of continental proportions, with some scientists estimating the size of the biggest garbage dump to be equal in size to that of America. In the bustling streets and sprawling cities of India, a silent crisis grows by the day. India generates around 9.4 million tons of plastic waste annually. That's equivalent to 15,000 tons every day, enough to fill 15,000 small cars. While plastics are integral to our daily lives, their disposal poses a daunting challenge. Sadly, only about 30% of this waste is recycled. The rest, it lingers in our environment, in our water, and on our land. The problem is compounded because plastics can only be recycled a limited number of times before their quality degrades. This necessitates high energy consumption for decomposition, putting a strain on the already burdened ecosystem.
The solution we have identified lies in the conversion of plastic waste into fuel.
Now let us look at how we will convert waste plastic to fuel oil. Waste plastic will go through a number of stages like pre-treatment, shredding, pyrolysis, condensation and refining. This is how our system looks like. Waste plastic goes into the plastic shredder. From there, smaller pieces of plastic goes into the densifier, from where it moves into the catalytic cracking unit. Here we have a temperature of 300 degrees Celsius, which melts the plastic, and the larger chains of hydrocarbons, when it passes through the catalytic chamber, breaks into smaller chains. The gas is then condensed and converted into liquid fuel, which is stored inside a chamber. This fuel goes on into further refining. The three products of the process are oil, gas, and carbon black. The oil can be used as a heating material in industry or as a fuel in generators. The gas can be used as a flammable heating gas in industries. The carbon black can be used as a substitute for coal.
Plastic, long viewed as a mere waste, is now a resource in our groundbreaking vision. We are transforming plastic waste into a valuable fuel. Our idea strikes this conventional wisdom at its heart. We are not just altering the life cycle of plastics, we are transforming societal perceptions, offering a sustainable end of life option for this versatile material. We are not just challenging conventional wisdom, we are rewriting it. Envision a future where plastic waste becomes a valuable resource, claiming a new era in sustainability. Our idea transforms this waste into clean energy, reducing our reliance on fossil fuel imports and aligning with global environmental goals. By integrating renewable energy into this process, we are not just tackling plastic pollution, we are setting new standards and sustainable practices. Join us as we turn waste into beacon of hope, powering a cleaner, brighter tomorrow.
Good morning, everyone. So I'll begin now. The pen on your table right now is made up of polystyrene. There's a 70% chance that this pen will end up in a landfill, as only 30% of the waste in India is currently being recycled. This pen might as well end up into the digestive tract of a cow, or into the gills of some unsuspecting fish, or you can convert that plastic into the fuel to power your engines. Our idea enables you to do that. Phoenix is a catalytic thermal depolymerization unit which converts the plastic waste into the fuel oil using in house manufactured zeolites, and that is where our competitive advantage lies. The real world problem that our idea addresses is the problem of plastic waste disposal, especially the non recyclable plastics. It also reduces the pressure on environmental resources due to heavy excavation. A solution is futuristic because India's domestic plastic market is expected to grow 3 times in the next few years. India is a developing economy, and there is a need to reduce our dependence on imported fossil fuels. Our idea challenges the conventional wisdom where plastic was seen as a waste. What we say is no, plastic is not a waste. Through our idea, you can see plastic as a resource which could power your engines. Regarding the scalability and the practicality of the solution, our technology is backed by 2 years of solid research, and it is a highly efficient process which gives us almost 80% conversion of oil of plastic waste into oil by weight. Towards the top right, you see our prototype, our product, and our catalyst, where our catalyst gives us the major competitive cost advantage because we use the in-house manufactured zeolites, which is one of the catalysts used in the process. Regarding the sustainability of our technology, our idea can be scaled up as per the requirement and has a huge domestic market to cater to. Now, Anushka will take up the business case and financial analysis.
Now let us look at the financial and business aspect of the idea. We have done an estimate of a 5 TPD plant located on the outskirts of Kolkata. Considering capex, our processing cost comes at rupees 27 per kg of waste plastic. We will be selling our product at about 12 to 15 rupees per litre less than the commercial diesel. So our selling price will be around rupees 80 per litre. Our customers will be MSMEs who regularly use diesel as a fuel for kilns, furnaces, boilers, heat exchangers, etc. They will purchase from us because we will not only give them lower prices, but also help them attain their ESG goals. The roadmap will involve getting the IP for Catalyst in the first 1.5 years, while we also set up the pilot plant. In the next 1 year, we will conduct our pilot study. Then, from third year onward, we can scale and set up large plants in Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, and other cities. Going forward, we can also expand and diversify into other sectors. Thank you. Now we are open for questions.
Morning, team. Sorry, it's afternoon. Good afternoon. So help me understand that in fact, any oil industry, one of the major issues is in terms of it being a lot more capital intensive, right? And not in terms of probably just the raw material, but also in terms of the entire setup of the manufacturing plant that you would need to do. One is how do you really plan to build up that kind of a scale? That's my first question. Two, you yourself rightly said is one of the major issues with plastic is that beyond a point it can't be recycled. Right? It can be recycled only a certain amount of times. Further, if you really look at it, a lot of plastic. Simple example is if you go to buy vegetables from a vegetable vendor, they give you plastic in the most thinnest possible plastic bag possibly available. Right? and those things are not going to be recycled. So where they end up is everyone's guess. So how do you deal with probably even stopping those pieces of it, or where does that fall into your value chain? And three is in terms of how do you really go about collecting all the plastic waste, because end of the day it all gets mixed up with uh, your garbage that goes into your dustbins. So how do you go about actually accumulate that waste is something that I couldn't see. So how do you answer those pieces?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. I'll take that up. So, as we can see, first of all, regarding the capital expenditure, which is very large in case of oil industries, this is a prototype over here, and we have worked on it for a couple of years now. So, basically, we are proposing a 5 tons per day plant as a pilot, which would be initially, because as you rightly pointed out, there are bottlenecks in terms of sourcing the non-recyclable plastic, and that's why we cannot scale it up to the IOCL level, but yes, we can convert 5 tons per day, which is our initial proposition in terms of pilot. So as far as capex is involved, for 5 tons per day, we did the cost analysis, and we found that we could break even in 5.76 years almost in terms of capital expenditure.
I
Coming
would
to the
like to add on a bit to that. So, if you notice that the major cost that comes to the oil production units is because of the refining. That's a huge cost. In case of plastics, it's already a refined product, and that is why we use very basic mechanisms like only distillation and catalytic units. These are the only two units that are cost intensive. Other units are very cheap. So, the scale is lower, and also we do not need the entire process. That's why we are saving costs.
5 tons of plastic is going to substantially require a huge amount of landfill as well, right? And that's not going to be cheap, I'm sure, especially considering the fact that you are going to be somewhere closer to Kolkata, and your further plans of being closer to cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, and so on and so forth. How do you factor that as part of your capex also?
Yes, sir. We have factored that as a part of our capex. Also, I would like to mention that we were in contact with some of the other industries who are using waste plastics, and government also helps a lot. Government gives land at a much cheaper cost for these kind of initiatives, and we can expect that also. However, we have taken the cost in our calculations, and then we had the break even in 5.5 years.
And for the non-recyclability aspect of the question, so basically, the plastic which is non-recyclable is sourced from the local municipal sorting facilities, where there is a bunch of plastics which has everything mixed in it. Going through the conventional route where you recycle it, you need that plastic to be sorted to the extent that let's say the mixture should only have LDPs or only HDPs. But because our product does not require that sort of sorting, and we save those costs in terms, so we source it from the municipal facilities itself. We source that bunch of mixture of plastics, and we put it into the feeder, and it eventually gives us through the catalytic pyrolysis process the fuel.
One
So that
last piece,
was
and then
yes,
one
sir.
last piece, and Renuka, you can take over. Sorry, I know time's up. Tell me again, we are again going to be providing fuel, which is again a source of pollution. End of the day, right? That's something, and eventually as an economy, as the world progresses towards moving towards renewable sources, moving towards batteries and all. How do you look at this piece being sustainable in the long run as well?
Right. So it's like this. The plastic will end up into a landfill. But what we're doing is we are giving that energy stored into that plastic one more chance at powering something else before it is eventually released into the atmosphere. So what will happen in that landfill is either it's going to cause some environmental impact or it's going to be incinerated, which is an eventual release into the atmosphere. We are giving that plastic by converting it into fuel one more chance at powering some other utility and thereby saving energy collectively. So that was our vision behind this.
I
Also,
have a follow-up question to the same. I
Yes.
think you're talking about giving the last chance to the plastic. Conversion, I think I understand it's because of the catalyst. What
Yes.
is the residual that's going to be there, and what is the emission? These are the two things that's going to impact whatever that you are claiming, saying that this is the plastic free, or this is something that's going to help us enable move towards eco-friendly fuel, right? What's it that's going to be as the residue? Is that going to be something that's eco-friendly? And what is the emission that's coming out, if at all that's going to impact the environment more? Then what's the use at all? That's the first question I have.
Yes, ma'am. So I would like to mention that the residual that we get from this process is mostly bitumen and ash. So bitumen can be used as a substitute for coal. So it can be reused, and ash is always used in cement manufacturing, paver blocks manufacturing, these kind of processes, road making. So these are where we can use it. Also, coming to the emissions, this kind of process, we do not use oxygen in our catalytic reactor. Hence, there is no oxygen for carbon to combine with, so no carbon dioxide emissions will be there. The gaseous emission that we will get will mostly be lower alkanes, which are also flammable, and we intend to use it back in our process to in the distillation column. So it will be reused in our own process.
So you're saying that there is no bifurcation as to what plastic can be used because there are degradable, biodegradable, non-degradable. There is no bifurcation. You can use all the plastic, is what you're saying?
Ma'am, only thermosets are not used, and thermosets are usually those plastics which do not melt. Other all kinds of plastics can be used in this process, which melt at 300 degrees Celsius. We can use it.
Okay. You were referring to collecting the plastic from different sources. Have you even come across during your research that there are plastic recyclers who have the ability to give you the plastic in tons, thousands and at least
Uh,
millions of tons because they have the responsibility. Have you ever, in your research, evaluated the plastic waste management that is there, how the corporates are supposed to be committed, and how the recyclers are supposed to be committed? Did you even come across?
Yes, ma'am. For understanding this, we actually spoke to a similar kind of industry. They use plastic waste to make paver blocks in Kolkata itself. So how they are sourcing is government is giving them plastic waste free of cost because there is so much of waste that government wants them to be used. Also, they are also sourcing from waste management NGOs who work with rag pickers. So they are getting plastic from that source also. So we can use similar kind of plastics for our process.
And as far as a recycler thing is concerned, ma'am, we do not want to take plastic out of the system because our first priority should be recycling. We do not want recyclers to give us that waste because that waste could as well be recycled. Only and only if the sorting of the plastic has not been done and plastic has not been segregated, only then we are using that plastic to be converted into the fuel oil. Because again, in terms of hierarchy of waste management, recycling should be given the first priority. And that's why we are not sourcing it from the recyclers themselves who would have
That's
already
not
invested a lot
that's
of
not the
money.
question. That's not the question. The question is because they are supposed to collect all the plastic and there is bifurcation and there are plastic that is non-recyclable which is lying with them also. That was the question. Anyway, I think I'm done with this. Done with my questions. But the last bit is how is it? Who are all the stakeholders that you're trying to you have evaluated to convince this particular project to take it forward? Is there a plan on that?
Yes, ma'am. So the stakeholders that we are thinking of working with first will be the government and NGOs from which we will be sourcing. So the NGOs, on the other hand, they work with rag pickers. So they will be one of our stakeholders. Then we have our employees, and going downward, we'll be selling our product to MSMEs, smaller. We'll sell it B2B. So the small and medium scale industries who use this kind of fuel daily in their processes, they will be our major stakeholders, and obviously society who will benefit overall from this.
Thank you. That's it. That's it from mine. Thank you so much. This was really helpful.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, team. That was one amazing presentation. So let's move on to the last presentation of the day, which is Prajna.
Today, I'd like to shed light on a critical issue that plagues the agrarian heart of India, the dearth of veterinary services. Across the vast rural landscapes in our country, farmers face an uphill battle as their livestock grapples with health challenges. The scarcity of veterinarians in our country compounds the problem, leaving countless animals without proper care. Ailing livestock not only jeopardizes farmers' livelihoods but also exacerbates food security concerns. Diseases spread unabated, impacting the quality of dairy and meat products. Urgent intervention is therefore needed to address the crisis, and this is the motivation behind our project today. 80,000 vets for nearly 100 crore livestock shows the abysmal ratio that currently exists in our country, which is vastly dependent on farmers for During the course of our research, we found there are three major problems that afflict farmers in our country. First is the issue of affordability, then of access, and third of awareness. When it comes to affordability, the rising transportation expenses, the existence of corruption fees in the form of bribes, and the economic impact of replacement, where we have to incur enormous debt as a farmer, exacerbates the issue. When it comes to access, the shortage of vet hospitals, even in block regions, the average travel that can range up to 50 kilometers, or one or no vets at the panchayat level, and the high transportation costs for bulky animals makes it very difficult for them. Lastly, the outdated notional practices that exist, the quacks and fake vets, and the lack of awareness about different initiatives makes it even worse. Mostly, the initiatives that exist currently are limited to certain states, mostly centered around certain cities, don't cater explicitly to farmers, and mostly cater to abundant street injured or specific classes of animals, which does not really solve the problem.
We start with the insights of some of the interviews that we took of cattle owners across the country. So the major issues that transpired were the lack of a codified knowledge base whereby the cattle owners would be guided about the proper methods of administering medicines to their cattle when they fell ill, and secondly, the absence of the state designated vets at the hospitals is leads to another whole set of logistical nightmare where they are not available in the times where they're supposed to be. Now, for our idea to take off, we first need to identify the prime places where we should launch the pilots. Based on the number of livestock, we shortlisted the 6 states which are shown here, and we considered the parameters such as cattle to vet ratio, internet connectivity, and road connectivity of the villages to which we assigned various weightages. Based on the calculated scores, we found that the states of Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, and Andhra Pradesh are the prime candidates for our for the launch of our pilot. To address the veterinary needs of 20 million odd Indian people who are dependent on livestock, we present our solution BCare. It is a one-stop platform for all the healthcare needs of cattle in India. The technology backbone is based on sensors and IoT devices which will be capturing a continuous stream of healthcare data of, vital health parameters. These parameters would then be fed into an ML algorithm which has been trained on relevant data, and predictions would be made for the nature of disease and also the severity, and to give an idea whether a physical consultation is required from the vet. We also have provision for an online pharmacy to for the easy delivery and access to medicines that have been prescribed. Teleconsultation also is made possible through the preliminary analysis that has been done through the ML algorithm. Through our solution, we aim to bridge the gap by focusing on viability, scalability, and inclusivity. That's it from our end. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying to share one. Just give me 1 second. I've uploaded the file from my end. Can you confirm if it's visible or not in the system? Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Go to the next slide. Shall we start? Can we start? Okay. All right. So more or less, we have gotten the idea, right? So the problem is we cannot actually change the number of vets because it's a very arduous and long drawn process. But what we can do is make the system better so that this lack is somehow mitigated. You can talk more about the solution.
Okay, so the solution that we propose is a one-stop platform for all cattle healthcare needs. And the crux of the solution would be employing IoT devices, sensors to capture health data from cattle and use them through an ML algorithm backend to make predictions about the disease and the nature and the level of isolation required. Since we have captured data electronically, teleconsultation would also be made possible, which would let the vets have remote consultations and eliminate all the need for physical consultation all the time. Our solution will also be having a provision for online pharmacy, which would eliminate all the issues encountered due to non-availability of prescribed medicines. Now, the technology backbone is mainly composed of hardware components, cloud system, and end user application at a very high level. To the right is a brief and rough schematic of the implementation. The sensors that are placed on the cattle would be transmitting the captured data to the server and cloud through a series of steps. Some of the stakeholders who would be benefiting from our solution are first and foremost the farmers, because they would be experiencing a much more simpler solution. The governments, because they would be interested in the well-being of the farmers and increased utilization of the vets, and insurance providers who can make use of the data capture through our technology to come up with products for insuring the cattle. Over to Ajay.
Okay, coming to the implementation plan, first we'll research the market that where there is a need. Then we'll select a location based on the different parameters that we have discussed in the video. Third one is we will collaborate with the existing NGOs and government, like UP government is doing a lot of things for cattle. The fourth one is that first we will run a pilot testing. For that we have selected the three states, that's our MP, Bihar, and Andhra Pradesh, on the depending on the parameters that we have selected in that video we have discussed. Then we will integrate the technology part, and then we'll try to scale up the whatever we have after the pilot project success. We will go to the other states. So current revenues streams which we are thinking are insurance provider, diagnostics fee, and commissions fee and subscriptions fee. Over to.
Yes, so more or less on the go back, please. So more or less on the financial feasibility front, we are seeing that we have 100 crore market across India, and we have targeted the first two three states. So the 20% we are going to target in the first, then 25, and so on. So largely the idea is the ML algorithm and the data that is collected, therefore, is going to make it easier for the farmers to actually present, right? So we are targeting around like a break even, or like entering into some sort of profit towards the fifth year. We have not included the IoT device and the subscription fees that come therefore, which is going to be the major crux late in the later years. We are going to first try to test the market and then figure out. I guess our time's up. We are open to questions. Go back.
Good afternoon, guys. So, few questions. One is, what is the availability of quality veterinary doctors in India? Any idea on that?
Quality is very like it. I do not have an exact number, sir, but from the idea and the numbers that we have, only like 80,000 vets overall. So most of them are, they're just from like not from well recognized or reputed government hospitals. So we're actually looking at around, say, around 60% of them are actually doing well, right? So we are looking at around 48, 50,000 vets, even lesser, who are actually very much qualified.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also
So you
adding on
are,
to that.
yeah,
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah.
Go
So
on, Ajay.
like.
Adding,
Yeah, so adding on to that, I think that besides just the absolute number of vets that are in the country, a lot of them are not like there, like whether when they're supposed to be, which is what we found out based on some of the interviews of the cattle owners.
Yeah. So
yeah.
where I'm coming from is from a feasibility perspective, getting number of a good number of veterinary doctors to be onboarded. So one is the availability of your a pool. Second is within that pool, how many would really be keen to get onboarded on something like this is going to be a question which I don't know how will you really answer over a period of time. That was one. Two, in terms of those IoT devices that you would want to be fixed upon those cattle, how are you going to manufacture? What is going to be your cost? How are you going to convince farmers to be wanting to accept that something like this should be fit up to a to their cattle, because it has to be on the cattle all permanently as good as, right? Third is in fourth, as an extension of that, is that it would require a certain amount of servicing, because end of the day it's an electronic device. It is going to come up, or there is going to be a requirement of it getting serviced on a regular period also. How are you going to manage all those logistics? And
Okay.
also convincing the farmer that they need to buy something like this as well.
Okay, I mentioned this. The first we will target the big farmers, those who are doing business from their cattle. For example, dairy farmers, those who is very dependent on selling the milk product. And also, if you go to these small dairy farms, these are the things, and even the goat cattle they are keeping just for dairy products. So first we'll go to those farmers. I think it will be easier for us to convince them as they are already generating profits from their cattle. And second, for small farmers, we'll be building a small hub kind of thing in a block level where a small farmer can bring their cattle and they can do all the necessary checkup.
And also, to add on to that, okay, so for on that feasibility aspect, yes, agreed. So first we had thought that, making an app where you onboard different vets might solve the problem. You can have that connectivity, but that's an issue, like you said, like the vets might not be available. It's also difficult to actually get the qualified ones, right? So what we decided was, let us assume that the number of vets stay constant, okay? But if our system is not so much into tracking vets as much as it is about getting an ML algorithm that makes it easier for the farmer to actually not have to rely on the vet so much, because most of the times the issue is there are problems that the farmer can solve on his own, but he does not know, and therefore either the cattle suffers or he has to rely on the vet. Now if my prediction system has a database that can actually do this, then most of the times you will have some sort, and the machine keeps learning there, and we are going to have common platforms of discussion, etc. It actually creates a system where the farmer is no longer reliant to continue to go to the vet so much. We cannot solve the vet problem, and that's not something that we are largely focusing on. We are focusing on an idea that can actually help us bypass the problem to some degree. That's the point one. Point two, on the question of how to get farmers on board. See, most of this from the interviews, and this was part of some project that we did earlier also on business models that are inclusive. So the idea mostly is that the farmers wouldn't have so much unless you enter into places where there's a huge amount of stigma and that sort around putting those things on animals. Most of the farmers, like Ajay said, in Punjab or Haryana, they wouldn't have a problem with that, so because most of them can actually afford this, right? So if we can start off a pilot where this becomes easier for them, they don't mind actually putting it on their cattle, because it's not particularly painful or that sort of thing when you after that initial phase. It's only the sort of piercing that's done once. On how we are going to do this, there are firms that are startups that have started with this. I've forgotten the name. I think it's mentioned in the PPT, that we actually found out for finding the IoT devices. So it's like 8,000 per piece for that sort of a device that actually does that. So if you take around 100 or 200 pieces like that, then actually incorporate, and then with time it might take off. And the last question of the servicing thing. So servicing, the issue is, the good thing about this is it doesn't take more than, less than, for 2.5 years, it won't be a problem. After that, then yes, you might have to have some sort of updation, some sort of change. And yes, this is something we might have to look into. We did not take this into account.
Yeah, adding on to that, one thing that my colleague mentioned was the use of ML algorithm. So that this ML algorithm would automate the most pressing need. That is, let's suppose that one animal has gotten infected with a disease that might also lead to other animals in the same herd being also infected. So the ML algorithm would automate this process of identifying whether this animal should be isolated or not. And henceforth, that would save the farmer the cost, the possibility of the entire herd getting infected. And answering your third question as to how these devices would be kind of implanted or put on the cattle. So right now there have been a few researches where these devices they don't have to be implanted per se, but they can be just attached to the collar of the animals. And the IoT devices that I have mentioned here, they are very low energy consuming and very efficient. So the longevity, per servicing period would be very high. So that way also it would be feasible.
Yes, Renuka, I can take.
Thanks, Ankit. The IoT device, is it going to get into the cattle, on top of the cattle? That's the basic question I have.
Yeah, so right now the research that has been done with the data that is being captured right now, that can be done by placing the devices on the cattle, not inside.
So the readings are basis what? What are the readings that the IoT device is going to take?
So right now, the data that it captures are accelerometer and magnetometer data. When you analyze those data over a long time frame, you can come up with insight as to what might be the underlying cause as to for some change in the activities. And in a later stage, we can also look into devices that can be used to capture other health data like the temperature, respiration rate on and the for cattle it would be I think rumification, some certain parameters.
Okay. And so you're saying that all of these parameters will be captured by the IoT device that's going to be placed on the cattle.
Yes, at a later stage, yes.
And I'm assuming there is no side effect because of placing this IoT device on the cattle.
No, no,
Um,
none so far that we are
Okay.
like we know
And then
of.
the second bit is you're talking about um, uh, tele-advisory, that is telemedicine. You're talking
yes,
about online
yes,
pharmacy,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And you're talking about the data.
Mhm.
Have you evaluated what are the regulations and what roadblocks that you're going to hit when you're going to touch these areas? And what is the solution that you have tried putting in place? Because you are entering into a highly regulated market, right? Can you tell me those, please?
Or you want to take this up, or should I?
I'll add on later if you have some point you can go ahead.
Yeah, no, no. So the first point is on the insurance providers front. I am not very sure. Like we have not gone into in-depth research on this, like how exactly that flow is or the regulations is. On the front of like the method in which we are going to provide, online pharmacy and these are very like ancillary offshoots that we are going to provide, and these are only to make sure that in the initial stages the pilot as an ecosystem overall works. So here most of the times there are already existent apps, etc., which with which we are planning to enter into partnerships, right? So we can actually leverage their know-how and use that to take on vets that are already onboarded, and what we are going to do thereon is to make it much more competitive or provide greater incentives to them. And then that online pharmacy is also something in our financial projections we did not take into account for the first 2.5 years, because it's not very it's not particularly costly in the initial stages, unless it's like huge major, for farmers who own like a lot of cattle, or like which many of them do. But when it comes to like the smaller animals, you really don't need it. And when you're going to buy medicines and that sort of thing, an online pharmacy is something which is going to take a lot of time. There's a lot of advertisements which also took into account, right? Billboards, that sort of thing. You have to send people to tell them that this is actually easier. So choosing the cities, the states, for example, we have to have it closer to the cities, right? So that sort of costs and is also going to come in. But on the regulations aspect of it, if we are partnering with them, I don't think like it'll be that much difficult for us to enter into it. On the insurance front, I'm not sure. I don't
So
I
I'll
haven't
add
looked
Yeah,
on
into it.
the insurance.
I think the touch points that you have in this business model has got insurance regulations, has got online pharmacy regulations, which is drugs and cosmetics, has got veterinary regulations which are coming into place. You have telemedicine, you have e-commerce marketplace, which is highly regulated again. If these are all the situations, right? I think the assessment of the regulatory roadblocks that you'll be hitting is something that I would definitely wanted to have seen in the data, because there are regulations which are restricting certain activities from these. And then the second point is I'm asking a business sense and a commercial sense question. If you want to tie up with the online existing pharmacies, why would they tie up if at all you're going to create a competition for them after learning from them? That's my basic baseline question.
Okay, I would like to answer these questions. So right now there are many agriculture startups. What they are doing is that they will scan the plant leaves and then they will send medicines. So farmers has the ability to scan that plant leaves, and depending on the machine algorithm, the app will identify what is the disease that plant is facing, and based on that, the startup will provide the medicines. So we can utilize their network. As they are already into this kind of business, it will be easier for us to reach into the small farmers in the rural areas because they have already developed this thing. And second, why would they collaborate with us? Since we are providing the similar kind of things, it would be easier. Suppose the farmers which we are bringing to the app will also buy their products. I
Understood.
hope that.
Thank you so much. That's it. That's all my questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
All the
you.
best.
Thank you so much, team. That was a great presentation. Kudos to all the participating teams. The variety of innovative ideas showcased in this round is truly remarkable. Today, the contest has heightened the bar with a promise to make this journey even more intense in the days to come. As you know, the winners of today's elimination round will be stepping into the regional finale of TUP 9.0, where you will be battling against winners of the other elimination rounds. Now, to quell the curiosity as to the winner and runners up for today's elimination round, the suspense will have to linger a bit longer. Rest assured, the results of today's elimination round will be declared on our social media handles shortly. So keep those social media notifications active. As we conclude this round of competition, we would like to express our heartfelt appreciation to the jury for their insightful questions on each of the ideas presented today. We thank the audience and the teams for making this an interactive and exciting event with their futuristic ideas. All the best, everyone. You were indeed amazing. With that, this is me, Avni, signing off for today. Keep following us on our social media handles and stay tuned for further updates. Stay abreast with all the exciting things going down on our social platforms. We shall see you very soon during the TUP 9.0 regional finale. Until then, take care, stay safe, and have a good day.